We're in section 9.1, 9.2, and we're going to be solving systems of equations. So first part is two variables, and then we'll tack on a few three-variable problems at the end. This is a pretty short section, just kind of round out things, and so just a couple videos here. So let's start off right here. So it says graph the following system of equations. So this is a system of equations here. Two variables, x and y, are unknown to us, and we want both equations to be satisfied simultaneously. That would be called the solution of the system. But right now we're just trying to understand what we're talking about as far as a graph is concerned. So each one of these is a line, and so we're going to graph each one separately as a line. So first we have to solve for y, so we get it in slope-intercept form. So let's start with the x minus 2y equals -1. Solving for y, we want to get y by itself, so the x comes over as negative. And then we divide by a -2. You divide by the -2, this becomes a positive 1/2 and a positive 1/2. Be sure that -2 goes into both the negative x and the -1. All right, so we have our first equation is 1/2 x plus 1/2. The second equation, let me make my pen a little thinner. Our second equation is 2x minus y equals 6. Solving for y again, we'll bring the 2x over as -2x plus 6. And we're dividing by -1 or multiplying by -1, however you want to look at it. And so that changes that to a positive 2x and a -6. So those are the two functions we're going to graph. So we got the thick blue line and the thinner blue line. So let's start with the thin blue line, y equals 2x minus 6. So this has a y-intercept of -6, or 0, -6. So go to 0, -6, put a dot there. Now it has a slope of 2. You can do that rise or run thing. You rise 2, run 1. That would be one way to do it. But what we just need another point. So let's pick a convenient point. What if we let x equal 3, then y equals 2 times 3 minus 6. I'm picking that one because that creates a 0. So 3, 0 is a 0 on the graph. So let's go to that one. So we're not going to do the rise or run kind of thing. Anyway, so connecting the two dots, this is our thin blue line. And now let's do our thick blue line. So our thick blue line is 1/2 x plus 1/2. So y-intercept is 1/2. So that's 1. So it's actually going to cross right there in between 0 and 1. Now we need another point. So if we did x equals -1, that would give us a 0. It's not much of a line to look at. It might be helpful to pick something a little farther down. Maybe something like 6. 6 would be 3.5. So if x equals 6, then y is 1/2 of 6 plus 1/2. That's 3.5. So 6, 3.5 would be a point on the thick blue line. So let's go to that point 6. Here's 3. There's 3.5. All right. So extending through there, we've got our thick line there, and so those are our two lines. And on the computer, you would select the line, and then you have to pick a couple points on the line to determine it. So you can pick those 2 points next to each other. Like I said, 0, 1/2 is a point. A -1, 0 is a point. There are several points on the thick blue line. Now, they didn't ask for it, but this is going to be the solution to our system of equations, but we're going to get to that in later problems. Okay, so let's do another graphing problem. This time I'll use different colors instead of just thick. Let's start with the top equation. So remember, the strategy is we need to solve for y. So bringing the 5x over and subtracting 3. So the subtract 3 was already over there. So subtracting 5x brought that to the left. Now I'm dividing by -4, which makes that positive 4/4 x. That's the slope. Don't forget you've got to divide this one as well. So positive 3/4 is our y intercept. All right. Now, slope-intercept form may not be the best way for you to sort this out, but that's a good place to start. Let's do the red. Let's do the second function as red. Negative 10x plus 8y equals 6. So again, solving for y, we bring the 10x over. Now it becomes positive 10x plus 6. We divide by 8. We get 10/8 x plus 6/8. Now, that's not reduced, so let's reduce this. Now, 2 goes into 10 5 times, so this would be 5/4 x. 2 goes into 6 3 times, and into 8 4. Interesting. These are the same line. And that is a situation. So when you graph this, so remember we have a y-intercept of 3/4. Now 3/4 is close to 1 there. It's kind of small here. If you pick x to be 1, then you get 1. You get 2 as the answer. So there's another point on this line. Let me put those over here. If you put in a 0, you get back 3/4. If you put in a 1, you get back 8/4, which is a 2. And that's what I've graphed there. So there's the graph of the blue line, and the red line is the same equation. They're the same line. So in this situation, again, they didn't ask for the solution. This has an infinite number of solutions. There's an infinite number of points where these two lines overlap because they're the same line. All right, so that's let's call it that video done, and we'll pick up again with the rest of it. Thanks.